Welcome back. High school football is back, and we're going to take a look at last week's action right now.
We are back here at Bobcats Stadium, home of the Bluffton Bobcats. You know, we're two guys very much into the arts and humanities, Daniel, as well as broadcasting, and there was a book that was titled A Tale of Two Cities. Well, this was a tale of two halves tonight. The Bluffton Bobcats were down 22-0 about halfway through the third quarter. They come back and win it in overtime, the first overtime I've ever seen in high school football, the first overtime that he has ever called in high school football, let alone his first game. 29-22, Bluffton wins it, and we talk so much about in the first half what Thomas Heyward did. A lot of this revolved around the quarterbacks. Max von Hohenstraten, Mad Max, anything else you want to call him, MVP of the night. And we heard John Hopp say he let all of his other coaches talk to the guys at halftime, and he just stepped away. And guess what, folks? It worked.
I was amazed to hear that answer. You know, most coaches are going to say, I gave him the Vince Lombardi. I gave him the pep talk. That was such a humble and honest answer to say, I left my guys alone. I turned it over to them and just said, if you've got the fight in you, if you've got the will and desire, go out there and do it. And they did. They turned the game around 180 degrees. The effort, the resiliency, as we've talked about all night, was just phenomenal. Two tough losses early on in the season, found themselves 22 points down in this contest. To come back and win this way in overtime, this can change an entire team's identity, IQ, and change the course and the flow of the rest of the season.
Absolutely. May River was taking on Bluffton's next opponent this week in Wade Hampton. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens Friday night when Bluffton takes on Wade Hampton. Where does Thomas Heyward go from here in terms of having all the momentum for about 2.5 quarters, and then Bluffton just took it away from him? Not that they took any of the resiliency or anything like that away, but Bluffton was just better. Where does Thomas Heyward go? Because they've got a tough game with Hilton Head Prep coming up next week.
Well, I think if you're Thomas Heyward, you just take all the positives out of this. To suffer a loss after a 22-point lead is always going to be tough. But to come into the hostile ground of a public 4A school, being a private Division I private school, they played right there with them from start to finish. I don't think they have anything to hang their heads over. I think Coach Shuford will use this as a learning experience for his team, a way to grow. And I'll tell you, from what I saw, this three-time three-peat defending state champion probably is the odds-on favorite to do that again. This is a tough football team with a great defense, an impressive freshman quarterback, great coaching staff. I don't think Thomas Heyward has anything to worry about, and I certainly wouldn't be hanging my head if I were in their locker room.
I don't know about you, but based off tonight, I'm very excited for next week's game, provided there's no issues with COVID. We've got Thomas Heyward again next week at Hilton Head Prep. It's the matchup between Nick Shuford and Dave Adams. It should be a great one. For Jeremy Pope, Gustavo Ratia, Larry Jacomot, my partner Daniel Court, I'm Marcus Walsh. The rest of our great crew, of course, Maria Soden's with us here now. We're going to send it back to the Bluffton News. Enjoy the rest of your week.